Welcome back to Soul Strippers and Sexuality Sunday. We're talking about understanding patriarchal men and the wounded female dynamic today. We are all reflections of each other. So we have an energetic body, and it is at the heart and soul and core of who we are. But we choose our physical bodies on incarnation in order to reflect our traumas. So when we have these different ideals about our bodies and our physical beauty, it creates insecurities or weaknesses or jealousy and envy, things like that that we're meant to work through. So let's say you are a wounded female coming into this incarnation and you have issues with patriarchal men. You will be attracted to relationships with them. And through the laws of attraction, your life dynamics will revolve around their power and control. This is important in order to create suffering and for you to start looking within yourself to see what's going on so that you can do the healing work to stop the attractions. I love this saying, the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Because it's so true. When you start doing soul work and you recognize that everything in your world is being attracted to you based on either your unhealed traumas, insecurities, weaknesses, belief systems, failed spiritual tests, you have to become accountable for these dynamics in your life. And being a female that has been attracted to patriarchal men and working through my own issues, I can tell you it's definitely been eye-opening to see that my own inner wounds were running this show and that I actually do have the power and control here, not someone outside of myself. But before, that's not what I thought, and I handed my power away all the time. So you've got to realize every personality is exactly as they need to be. And until this healing and evolving happens, you need the dynamics between patriarchal men and the wounded female. And I don't want to say it as in men, women, because these relationships are happening in all kinds of different forms of sexuality. So it's hard to just say patriarchal men. So the patriarchal masculine versus the wounded feminine is what I'm going to call it, because we all have female sides and male sides, every single person, whether you're male or female. And becoming balanced between these sides is what's important. So look at your life and see what's going on and what kind of attractions you have. Don't depend on your mind. It's full of lies and illusions, and the ego will try to mask these things and make other people accountable. And that's what we have a lot of things going on right now where everybody wants to point the finger at the other party instead of getting accountable within themselves and doing the self-work they need to do, which just creates more of the same thing that we've always been getting. The wounded female and the patriarchal male stereotype pissing each other off. So when you work through your own wounds, patriarchal men with a patriarchal male stereotype personality no longer bothers you. It no longer gets you all worked up. These are called triggers. When you emotionally get worked up about the qualities in someone else, it's always about you. And the universe is relentless in bringing back to you your unhealed wounds. So how are we talking about balancing this power between the patriarchal male and the wounded female? So the balancing of power would be where you're indifferent to being sexualized. So the patriarchal male stereotypes things and sexualizes people. If you are strong and muscular, or in women, if you're skinny and fit, you are more sexualized than some men that are skinnier or weaker looking, smaller framed. We have this ego rating system that matches our own ego rating system. So this is where the wounded female comes in, and if it has issues with being sexualized, then we have the emotional triggers going on. So if you have issues with yourself let's say you have issues with your own weight, your own body, whether it's skinny, whether it's fat, whatever it is that doesn't fit the societal norm or what is considered beautiful, then the insecurities and the weaknesses come in. And you have chosen this body in order to step over your own personal insecurities and weaknesses and way the ego wants to rate based on this physical beauty. So you've got to start working on these different core issues of how you see your own body. How you see your own body is attaching the relationships to you. So if people or outside relationships are making you self-critique yourself, it's about you, not about anyone else. It's just that we need all of these different players and different people in our lives to reflect back to us what the core issue is. So it's kind of like being in a TV show where you have chosen all these players to come back to you to show you what's going on inside of you. Okay, moving on. The patriarchal male says, people serve me. The wounded female says, I must serve others. The balancing of the power is giving and taking relationships. And if they do not give and take in balance, then you no longer partake in those relationships. Patriarchal male stereotype has a very shallow relationship with you. It's based on if you serve them, if you feed their ego, if you do what they want you to do, these kinds of things. The wounded female has a shallow inner relationship, meaning it's based on these false ideals of being a commodity, serving others in order to find your own personal self-worth. When you have a deep, meaningful relationship with yourself, not based on these outside shallow relationships, then you can bring deep, meaningful relationships with other people to you. And if they aren't, if someone is just trying to use and manipulate you, then you do not engage with them. You just let those people go. So the balancing of power for securities. So the patriarchal male has a fake sense of security. They based all of their security on being strong and powerful and all of these outside resources, where the wounded female is looking for security outside of themselves and the universe, creating this whiny, needy type personality. When you have inner security based on your own self and the universe, then you are no longer looking outside of yourself in order for those outside securities to happen. So it's a balancing of the inner core wounds of your own personal security and your personal power. No longer living in fear-based thinking. So patriarchal male stereotype is a master manipulator of fear, and that's how they control others. But the wounded female has to be manipulated by fear in order to be controllable. So these people, or the patriarchal male stereotype, is just setting up the master spiritual test. Will you live in fear? And a lot of times, if it's a work dynamic or something like that, where the person is trying to manipulate the fear in order to say, will you live according to your fears, or will you step into faith in your own personal truth regardless of the consequences? There's got to be some consequences there in order to test you, like losing your job, those kinds of things. Otherwise, there's no spiritual test involved. So, last one that we're going to talk about today, although there are many, this is our belief systems that we have. Our belief systems that we have say men are supposed to provide and support for us. It says for women and the wounded female that women are supposed to cook, clean, and take care of the children. And these are our inner core belief systems that have been developed over time. And in order to break through these, women have to stop looking to men in order to provide for them, or have these ideas and belief systems that's what's going to happen. Also, women or the wounded female is looking at the patriarchal male as a sense of support, and they haven't found the inner support inside of themselves. So they're thinking someone outside of me is going to take care and love for me. When in reality, until you learn how to take care and love for yourself, you cannot attract someone that will to you, whether it's at your job or at your house or in your relationships with your family. We've also decided that sensitivity is weak for men or the patriarchal male. So if people are viewing this patriarchal male stereotype as to be more loved and adored, we are creating the feedback for those personalities to survive. So if we say to men that you can't be sensitive, that's a weak personality trait, then we have men squashing their inner sensitivities and their inner child in order to fit the paradigm, in order to have this sense of security or appear to be secure. Really, at the heart and soul of a sensitive male is someone much stronger than someone who has squashed that part of themselves in order to fit these belief systems. So it becomes a process of doing self-work and realizing that all of these dysfunctional role models and belief systems and ideals are truly meant to make us stronger, rather than being the whiny, needy, wounded female that continues to have issues with the patriarchal male. This is saying, I'm meant to step over this. This is like running a relay race, but now you've decided to add a hurdle to it. So that means that it's your job, if you are the wounded female type attracting the patriarchal male, or the patriarchal male attracting the wounded female, it's your job to balance out the power within yourself. And it's your job to say, no one is in control here but me. I'm in control. I have the power. I can achieve everything in this world. We know by the laws of attraction and manifestation that everything is coming to us based on our own ideals, our own inner wounds, our own triggers. If we have low self-worth, then yes, we are going to attract a job, a career, a soulmate, someone into our lives that says you are not worthy. And all these different things are just games in order to show us what's going on at the core of our soul. You can check me out at www.soulstrippers.com. I've got an online program and looking to publish a couple of different books this year. So if you're interested in hearing more, keep checking back. Thanks for watching.